Delighted to welcome my first guest of the series, a man who just this week has announced his decision to take a new path to his career. He's been a very successful jockey since moving here from Northern Ireland over 20 years ago. He's tasted Group 1 success with Twilight Sun for a man who was his biggest supporter for many years, Henry Candy. He's had successful spells riding for other big prominent trainers like Martin Meaden. He's been riding all around the world for the last couple of years, but he has decided the time has come to try something a little bit different. And I'm delighted to say that I can catch up with him about his life and career now. He is, of course, Fergus Sweeney. Fergus, welcome, and thank you for being the first guest of the new series.
No problem. Thank you for having me, Nick.
And a big week for you, a week where you've made headlines, new career, starting as a BHA steward. They used to say this was poacher turned gamekeeper, but these are different times, these are straightened times. How did it come about?
Basically, I applied for the position just to show a little bit of interest. Maybe I thought, you know, it was something I would like to do further on down the line, and they came back to me and said, yeah, we'd love to have you.
So were you quite surprised?
Yeah, I was, yeah. So it was a couple of sleepless nights thinking, you know, I'm at a crossroads now, what do I do? Spent a week thinking about it, spoke to all my friends, family, and it just started to sink in, and it just felt right. Just felt the timing was right, you know.
So you were obviously having an eye on a post-riding career, which is why you applied in the first place. And,
yeah.
And then they rather wrong-footed you by saying, yeah, we actually want you to come and do the job. So it must have been quite a difficult moment for you in some respects. It
was, yeah. As I said, yeah, I definitely had a couple of sleepless nights, but just as time went on, you know, everything just started to feel right, and you know, I'm 100% sure I'm making the right decision.
Well, we'll talk more about the latter stage of your riding career in a few moments' time, but I sort of wanted to know where it all began, to be honest, where this career started and how it's lasted as long as it has.
Just started as many kids do, just ponies, pony club. Came up through that way, and I was lucky enough that my father had a couple of small shares with National Hunt Horses with Jeremy Maxwell and Downpatrick. So school holidays and weekends I used to go down there. I stayed with Brian Hamilton, who was very helpful early on, getting me riding better. He was Jeremy's amateur at the time, so I used to stay with him, go into work with him, and that just moved on to well, my passion was National Hunt. You know, if I'd have been a bit heavier, you know, I'd have definitely been a National Hunt jockey, but since I stayed light, I thought it was sensible to stay on the flat. But yeah, so I moved on to going to the Curragh. Another jockey, a friend of my father's, was Philip Lowry. He used to be a good lightweight jockey in Ireland, and I stayed down there for 2 months. And my father said to him, just do whatever you can to put him off, right? I don't want him to be a jockey. So after 2 months he came back and he said to my dad, listen, I've got good news and bad news. He says, the bad news is I can't put him off, but the good news is he can ride. So
there was a future there. What was it like, the transition from Downpatrick to the Curragh?
Yeah, well, it was different because the Curragh was my first sort of introduction to a flat yard. As I said, my passion was always, you know, National Hunt horses, so it was a little bit different, but enjoyed it, you know, and I knew at that stage that is what, you know, the career path I wanted to take, you know. And
you were very young, and
yeah.
I'm guessing it's the first time you've really been away from home for any length of time.
Yeah, I left home at 16, and yeah, that, you know, took some persuading to, you know, for my parents to let me leave, but thankfully they did.
And how did you find that? Were you okay straight away? Did you settle in? Were you quite good at looking after yourself?
Well, I had to go to the British Racing School because it was a means of getting placed in a yard in the UK, you know. So that was hell because I could ride, you know, and I was on this 10-week course with people that were learning how to do the rising trot. So I think for the first 2 weeks I was going mad. You know, I was definitely on the verge of going back home, but thankfully I stuck with it, and yeah, that was a means to getting placed in a yard, so it had to be done. So
you did your course at the British Racing School when you moved to England. Was there any sense that you might have stayed in Ireland, or were you always going to come here? No, I made the decision very early that you know, there was going to be more opportunity here. Yeah, my mind was made up very early on. And where did you land? Where did you land when you finished at the BRS? I actually landed at Mick Shannon's. Yeah, I had my first ride for Mick probably within 6 months of getting my licence. So
I probably stayed with him just about a year and a half or so. He had 5 or 6 apprentices then, and opportunities, you know, they didn't come along too often. So, but yeah, enjoyed the place, learned a lot from Mick, and he was very good to me.
What was he like? What was he like as a boss?
I think you know. You can hear him before you can see him, put it that way. But you know, fair guy, you know, nice man, and I learned a lot. At that stage, Richard Hughes was stable jockey, so he was very good to me also. Used to ride a lot of work with Hughesy, and he was very good to me.
Did you try and model yourself on him or anyone, or did you just try and find your own way?
I think I don't think many can style themselves on Richard Hughes.
Well, if you try, I'd say.
Yeah. No, I just rode how I was. You know, it was natural to me.
So where did the Mick Shannon connection end, and what came after that?
I went to got offered a job with Martin Mead when he trained at Ladieswood Stud. So he had obviously not the type of horses he has now. He had sort of 25, 30 low-grade handicappers. But I moved down there, and yeah, we had a couple of good years there. Yeah, and that was, you know, that was a partnership that sort of was on and off for the rest of my career, really. Yeah,
because latterly, since he sort of had the better horses and he was training in Newmarket before he moved to Manton, you rode quite a bit for Martin as well. I mean, he's a very interesting man, entrepreneur, knows his own mind.
Yeah.
You've obviously maintained something of a relationship with him for quite a long period of time.
Yeah, exactly. When he moved into Sefton Lodge, you know, I rode a few winners for him, and he asked me to come back as stable jockey. So I was on an agreement there. And you know, that lasted another couple of years, I think, before I broke my heel and I was off for a good amount of time.
I mean, just looking at your career, you've not had associations with that many people. You've stayed quite loyal to trainers. Are you someone who enjoys being part of that team,
yeah, 100%.
Rather than just herring around the country?
That's always been very important to me. I feel, you know, I like to be part of a team. I like to get to know the horses and you know, get to know the lads and just, yeah, feel like I'm in a team, you know.
With that in mind, was there never a consideration to train or still be part of a stable or part of a yard?
No, I was never really interested going down that route, if I'm completely honest. It just, listen, I would love to train horses, but it's just everything else that comes along with it, really.
And I suppose if there's one trainer that you'd be most inextricably associated with, it would be Henry Candy, for whom you rode a lot of winners, and rode your biggest winner as well with Twilight Sun. Hugely experienced, vastly respected trainer.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about him and what it was like to ride for him.
I had some very good days there. I think I had my first ride for him in 1998, a horse called Speed On, Peter D. London. And that was at Newbury, and he wasn't racing that day. And he won, and you know, as a kid, you get on the phone and you're hopefully gonna ring him and get a bit of praise. And he answered the phone and he said, "Oh, well done, Mr. Sweeney, but my assistant trainer was there, so there was no need to ring me." And I was like, you know. So I knew early on that's just how he operated, and you know, he just let you get on with it. If you rang him to ask about a horse, his reply was usually, "You know it better than me." So he very much let you get on with your own things. You know, he trusted you that you knew the horse. And very easy to ride for, didn't complicate things, and yeah, I had some very nice winners for him.
When you were talking about Mick Shannon, you say you'd hear him before you could see him. That's not the Henry Candy style, is it?
No, not at all. No, I don't think I've ever seen him lose his temper. No.
And he, presumably, somebody whose actions speak louder than words. So if you were in favour, you'd get the rides, and if you weren't, then you probably wouldn't. Yeah,
no, he's a very well-respected man, and I really enjoyed riding for him. It was just easy, you know. There was nothing complicated about it.
Sort of back end of the naughty, sort of 2009-10, you were riding quite a lot of winners. You're knocking in 50, 60 winners in a season. At that stage, did you think your career could push up maybe even to the next level, to be challenging for sort of 100 winners a season?
Well, I always hoped that. You know, I'd never set the world alight, but as you say, I was, you know, consistently sort of 500, 600 rides a year, 50, 55, 60 winners a year. for this, the good part of 15 years probably. I think 2016 was a hard year for me because after winning the Group 1 on Twilight Sun, I thought, 2016 could be my year, and the wheels sort of came off that year, and that was disheartening because off the back of the Group 1 winner, you're thinking, yeah, you might just get to that next level, and it didn't happen that way.
So you had the highest of highs, and then suddenly things weren't really happening. And I'm guessing you, in your own mind, have tried to analyse why over and again. Have you come to any conclusions?
No, and it's something that I'm not bitter with. That's just, I think, in racing you've just got to be in, the right place at the right time. And for whatever reason, it just didn't happen that year. But it was disheartening because I really, after 2015, I was buzzing that, we could get to that next level, and it didn't happen. But I'm not bitter about it, and that's racing. We all know that.
And you proved to yourself you could hack it at the top level, and you won with Twilight Sun, the Haydock Sprint Cup, and he was a terrific horse, very talented horse. Would you say that was a definitive high point of your career? I mean, it sounds obvious because it was the Group 1, but for you personally, was it? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, especially because I was associated with from day one. Really, he was quite difficult at home. I think that's why I probably got the leg up on him, and we definitely had a bit of a bond.
And here he is, green and white colours. I think that's magical memory, the far side, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Coming to challenge you. But you clung on grimly here. But he had other great days, and you weren't on board for those great days. How bitter a pill was that to swallow?
As I said before, I half expected it because when Cheveley Park stud bought into the horse, then it was, they were always going to try and get Ryan. Ryan was always going to be the preferred jockey if he was available.
Yeah.
So I was kind of prepared for that. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but once again, that's racing, and that's what happens.
So 2016 didn't really happen. So you come to the end of that, and you decided to head abroad and see what pastures new might offer you. Now, you went to some extraordinary places and had a great level of success. You couldn't fault your sense of adventure. Just talk us through the itinerary for that period of time.
Well, I got offered a job in India first, in Hyderabad, and I just thought, yeah, why not, I was a bit stale at the time, and I thought, this will do me good. So I took a contract in Hyderabad. Loved it, nice lifestyle, lovely people. They look after you well. You stay in a hotel, you have a driver. You race twice a week, and I was lucky enough because the trainer I went out for didn't have brilliant horses, but I managed to get on a filly in 1,000 guineas. She finished second, and she went on to win an Oaks and a Derby. So within my first month, so then the phone started ringing, and that got me. I was flying to Mumbai and Calcutta and for all the big races after that, so I did get lucky there.
Was it fun?
Yeah, I had a whale of a time. Yeah, loved the place.
And was it as an intense an experience as other riders have told me it is, with the crowds really close to you, and if you get beaten on a favourite, they
it's a different
express themselves.
It's a different experience. Yeah, I don't think I didn't experience getting hit by any flip-flops or anything, but I've heard the stories. But no, I loved the place, and it was a great experience. And you definitely, you still learn at, even at at my age, you still learn quite a lot around these places.
Yeah, and one or two riders have got themselves into a spot of bother in India. Did that worry you at all, or did you just think, no, I'm going to give it a go?
No, it didn't worry me at all. I've always kept my nose clean, and I just get on with the job.
And Korea was another success story for you?
Yeah, so I went to Korea after that. I did well in Korea, but the weight was a major problem out there. I was doing 53.5 kilos, which is my rock bottom, and I wasn't able to get the number of rides I'd like because you really need to be able to do 52.
What's that in old money?
52, so it's about 8.4.
Yeah, which is pretty light for you.
Yeah, I couldn't get down to that, so got to stage. I think I had a good strike rate. I was riding on a 20% strike rate, but they weren't going to relicense me because they said I wasn't taking enough rides. But I was, I said I can't take any more rides because I'm restricted by the weight.
What was the experience like?
Great. Once again, I think for the first month I was completely lost, especially the language barrier is a big problem out there. I was based in Busan. I think Seoul's a bit more westernized, but in Busan nobody spoke English. So you got an interpreter with the job, but they were purely for race course. They're for the track mornings and at the races. So once you left the race course, you were on your own. So you're just going around relying on Google Translate. But once you get your bearings, it was a nice place to live, and the racing was very well organised and run. The KRA are doing a good job.
So how long, all told, were you away abroad?
I wasn't licensed at all in this country 2018. I had stints. I had the 4 months in India, the 3 months in Korea. I came back in between, but I just chose not to get my licence out. I just rode out in between times, and then I went to Mauritius after Korea. And
was that important for you psychologically as well, just to have that experience of getting away, travelling, doing something a bit different? And did it have the desired effect?
Yeah, 100%, yeah. I just wanted to shake things up a bit. I was just starting to go through a stage where I wasn't enjoying riding as much as I'd wanted. And that just freshened everything back up again, It was a good experience, and I'm glad I did it.
I know it sounds odd because you were riding out there, but did it also make you think there's more to life than riding, than being a jockey?
Yeah, I think you realise when you have a couple of stints abroad that there's an easier lifestyle in other countries. You're only racing maybe 2-3 times a week, and it's just a bit more laid back, and it's not the 7-day rush, and the in and out of your car. It's just a bit more relaxed. You can enjoy the riding a little bit more, I think.
When you were going through your sort of more productive years, and there were many of them, when you were sort of riding a decent number of winners from a decent number of rides, but not at the very top level, was that enough to sustain you? Was that enough to provide you with a comfortable living?
Yeah, yeah. And I think as long as you're knocking in a few winners here and there, the bad days don't feel as bad, The journeys home are not as long. I think once you stop riding as many winners, then the day-to-day grind gets a bit harder.
And I suppose if you're just in that kind of middle bracket, you can always just see the precipice over which you don't really want to teeter.
That's it, yeah. A couple of when you're riding at that level, if you have a couple of bad weeks, people start saying, "Oh, his confidence is gone," and he hasn't had a winner in a couple of weeks, and and that's a slippery slope, isn't it?
As far as this decision's concerned, and we talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the interview, you're moving to something completely different. How do you think you will adjust to not riding in races most days?
I think it's going to take a while to get used to it. I'm going to take a good holiday when I quit, and I'm just going to take a good few weeks off and relax and come back, fresh with a new mindset for a new role. And but can I emphasise I haven't retired just yet?
You want some more? You want some rides for the next 6 weeks?
I want some rides and I want some winners. Yeah.
I interviewed you the other day at Salisbury because you hadn't had a winner for quite a long time.
Yeah.
But I hadn't really fully appreciated that you'd been sort of away, because the game goes on around.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, and I work in it every day, and even I hadn't really kind of taken stock of exactly what you'd been doing. It's hard to keep yourself noticed, isn't it?
And that was the frustrating thing, because these statisticians, they keep picking up on all these facts, and they were saying I haven't had a winner for such amount of days, and but they don't realise that you're going abroad and you're riding nice winners abroad. So, they have this connection that you're not riding winners, so you must be riding bad. But, but it's not publicised what you've been doing in other countries. So it's completely rubbish, really.
It strikes me that you don't have any regrets.
No, I'm not that type of person.
Are you sure that had a singing career not manifested itself a bit sooner, that might not have been something you'd have gone into?
I don't know. I didn't know I was good enough until you told me.
Oh, come on, I'm not the first person, surely.
Oh, I didn't think I'd be up to that level, though. I do enjoy it. It's something I do enjoy in my pastime.
Well, this is not the last clip that we're going to play.
Oh, really?
Have you said no? I mean, this is a 2.5-hour program. I've got to get some mileage out of this, but I think it's probably worth having a little look or listen. Are we going to look or listen? Listen. Here we are. Here is Fergus Sweeney.
Oh, the water. Oh, the water. Oh, the water. Hope it don't rain all day. And it's stoned me to my soul. Stoned me just like jelly roll. And it stoned me. And it stoned me to my soul. Stoned me just like going home. And it stoned me.
Better than I could do. Definitely.
I used to have curtains, by the way.
What's happened to the curtain? Are they just in the dry cleaner?
Yeah, I think so.
Right,
yeah.
OK. I wondered whether that was in Korea on a day where you had no one to talk to.
No, that was back here.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And you're saying that your guitar needs a bit of work, but I wouldn't know. I mean,
I only started playing the guitar actually in India because I was bored. So I bought a guitar, a cheap guitar out there, and I'm still getting to grips with it. There's plenty of work to be done yet.
I mean, as far as I can see, the truth of it is you shouldn't be on this programme, you should have been on Celebrity X Factor last night.
Well, I can keep that up my sleeve.
Do you play and sing most days?
Yeah, most days, yeah.
And do you find it's sort of good for the soul? Do you find it,
100%,
it lifts you when you're in a bad place, or it
Oh yeah, definitely. No.
relaxes you when you're tense?
Yeah, I've always loved music. Yeah, you know, when you get in the car and you've 3 hours to Doncaster, a bit of music just makes the journey a bit shorter.
Yeah, I bet it does. You're going to stay with us, aren't you? Talk through
this
week's talk.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more about the BHA and what you're hoping to experience there. But for the moment, Fergus Sweeney, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick.
Subscribe to Racing TV to be notified when more Luck on Sunday videos are appearing online. And don't forget to join me for the show every Sunday morning from 9 o'clock with the best guests.